On today's bonus episode of Locked On Angels, what's the point of even watching this team? A regressing Trout. Rendon is unquestionably the worst player in the game. And what have Ohapi, Neto, and Shawnuel even accomplished? Let's talk about Arte Moreno being the worst owner in baseball and why Perry needs to be fired yesterday. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SiriusXM, and AOL by searching Locked On Angels. If you want to give back to the Super Halo Bros, you can do so by leaving us a rate and review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. Become a Locked On Everydayer with us. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to YouTube and leave a comment. It's the best way to get in touch with us and be part of the conversation.
Thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen every single day. We are the Frisch Brothers, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Mike, we've been fans of this team for many, many years. It's our third season at Locked On Angels, and we're here 5 days a week. And on today's show, how the heck do we watch a team that's obviously catering towards 120 losses and has the worst rotation in baseball? What are we supposed to do with an aging Mike Trout who went 2 for 10 this weekend? That's not Hall of Fame material at all. And what about the way the Angels are ruining good players that they have currently? So, Johnny, Mike, let's get into it together.
Yeah, let's start with Mike Trout, Johnny. First of all, it's sad to say it, but the Mike Trout regression has arrived. He's got a 200 batting average. Is that the worst that he's ever had in his career?
It's got to be the worst.
200 batting average. It's insane. Johnny, we got some prospects listed here. Why don't you talk about those, Johnny?
Yeah, if you want to call them prospects, Mike.
Right.
I mean, Logan Ohapi, Nolan Shawnuel, Zach Neto. I mean, the Angels are badly damaging these guys, and I think they all should be in the minors.
Right.
I don't even understand why they're even in the major leagues. They're not major league caliber players. I mean, did you see that Zach Neto make an error on opening day? I can't believe that he made an error at shortstop.
It's ridiculous.
Isn't he supposed to be really, really good? And he hasn't proven it, right?
When you look at all the talent the Angels have developed over the years, you think about Parker Bridwell and Kyron Paris and Jamani Jones and Jordan Adams,
Jordan Adams, Mike.
Jordan Adams. Sorry. Yeah. You always get me with the names. So now we have damaged goods. And honestly, why couldn't they sign somebody, even like IKF, to play short? Instead, we have to rush Zach Neto up to the big leagues.
As you know, Mike, a couple years ago on my GM episode, I really pushed for IKF to be on the Angels.
Right.
And my philosophy is, you plan for the long term, but build in the short term. And I've always said that, right? And that's the most important thing. I think it's time, John. Mike, I think it's time that we need to cut bait with some of the players that are on this team. If the Angels aren't trading Rendon, what are they even doing? I know that they could trade Rendon, probably could get some really good quality prospects back because some teams are obviously going to need a third baseman. There's Ward and Neto and Ohapi and Shawnuel. We should trade all of these guys for prospects. If they don't, they're just idiots, right?
Rendon, you could make a deal with the Mets. The Mets have the money. They would take on that Rendon contract. And listen, if you have talented guys on this team like Zach Neto, you got to see what you can get for them. They could easily get a top 10 prospect from the Dodgers. Easily.
The Dodgers signed Will Smith, and so they have all of these catching prospects that are just sitting and wasting away in their minor league system. So a Rendon for one of those prospects makes the most sense to me, I think, Mike.
Especially when you don't know how Ohapi's going to turn out, because at this point, what has he even done in the big leagues? All he did was get hurt last year and hit a bunch of home runs in September. So you know what they need to do? They simply need to cut bait with a lot of these guys. They need to cut. Yeah. They need to cut Sandoval. They need to cut Rengifo. They need to cut Ward. They need to cut Hicks. They need to cut Rendon. They need to cut Moniak. They need to cut Canning. They need to cut Detmers. They need to cut Silseth. They need to cut Anderson. They need to cut Estevez. They need to cut Matt Moore. And they need to cut Drury, Johnny.
Yeah, Mike, I would push back on the cutting of Moniak and Silseth. I would package them for a couple of top prospects because when I put it in the trade simulator, it worked for me. And on MLB The Show, it worked for me. I got a couple of really good baseball players that actually really performed on the video game that I was playing.
Easily.
And then John, you talk about, Mike, you talk about the coaching staff and I mean, Ron Washington, I'm sure he regrets leaving the Braves for this. He has to. He's probably at home smoking 6 or 7 packs a day because he went from Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Acuna to Mike Trout, Taylor Ward, and Brandon Drury. I mean, that's really a drop off, is it not?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you keep your third base coaching job where all you have to do is wave your arm and help these guys in the infield instead of being a major league manager? I can't believe that he left that gig. And the same goes for Barry Enright. Why would you come and be a major league pitching coach for this rotation when you could have stayed in Arizona with a good rotation and stay as an assistant to the pitching coach? I don't understand that at all.
And then let's talk about the GM for a second. GM Pino. I mean,
brother,
honestly, like, where's Billy Epler? Bring him back because he drafted a whole lot better than Manasian has. Manasian had all of these guys that haven't even made it to the major league system yet. Like they're still in the minor leagues, and he drafted them just last year. I don't understand why they're not performing yet. What a disaster he's been. At least, like, even Jerry DiPoto brought in Pujols and Joe Blanton and Hamilton, and he traded away top prospects like Tyler Chatwood for Chris Iannetta and Mike Clevenger for a much needed relief arm in Vinny Pasquino and
saved the season for us in 2014 when he did that.
I mean, that was a brilliant trade. What has Perry even done? I mean, he brought in young, controllable players like Neto, Ohapi, and Shonawell. And how do we know they're even going to be good, John? Right. How do we know they're even going to be good?
Well, Johnny, I think you have to consider that Perry should go and get prospects from other teams and go into their farm system because those prospects who haven't played in the majors yet, they're going to be really good. And so if Perry goes and trades away these guys, and at least the Angels will have a future. And it seems like with the guys they have on the team now, there's no future at all in Shonawell and Ohapi and Neto and Moniak.
And here's the reality, Mike. I don't think you've heard this before, and nobody's saying this. So I got to say this. Like, obviously, the Angels can't win with Arte Moreno as the owner. Like, obviously, nothing changes with Arte there. And I don't know if you understand that. I don't know if Locked On Everydayers understand that, but nothing changes with Arte there, right? I think that I'm right about that.
That needs to be on a t-shirt. Nothing changes until Arte changes, because it does not get said enough in Angels fandom at all.
Right. It should be said probably on every episode. I mean, I don't know if people need us to keep continuing to bang that drum, because he's the worst owner. He needs to sell the team, because no team in the history of baseball has ever overcome bad ownership. I mean, look at the Orioles and how the Angeloses, they ruined that franchise, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, when are they ever going to have any success?
Right. And then the Nationals with the Lerners. I mean, when was the last time the Nationals won a World Series? I can't believe that's just been kind of ridiculous. So I think from now on, Mike, we need to start every show and end every show with Arte needs to sell the team. Nothing changes if Arte's in charge, because fans aren't saying that enough, and fans don't even know that. They're not even aware of that. And so I think it's our obligation to make them aware of it.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, head on over to Locked On Sports today, where you'll get all the coverage from around not only baseball, but all the sports. In fact, you're going to catch such great news over there that we can't wait for you to leave this episode and head on over to Locked On Sports today.
That's it for us on Locked On Angels. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Oh, and by the way, April Fools.